What if I told you that your feline companion has a secret set of laws they expect you to follow? Would you actually recognize what they are? Most caretakers believe they have a full understanding of their pet's needs, but cats harbor silent expectations that extend significantly beyond mere meals, fresh water, and basic affection. These are the unwritten regulations your cat uses to evaluate you every single day, and if you continue to violate them, as most people do without even noticing, your cat won't voice their frustration. They will simply, and very quietly, start to lose their trust in you. Let's begin with the specific error that almost everyone gets wrong. 1. Staring directly into your cat's eyes. Have you ever looked straight at your cat and wondered why they suddenly broke eye contact and turned away? You likely thought it was nothing important. Perhaps they just got bored or distracted. But here is the reality of what was actually occurring. In the complex language of felines, direct eye contact is not a gesture of love. It is a direct challenge. When you lock your gaze with your cat and maintain that stare, even for just a few seconds too long, your cat interprets it as a predatory threat. This reaction is hardwired into their deepest survival instincts. In the natural world, a prolonged stare between two feline predators is the final signal that happens right before a physical confrontation begins. So every time you gaze into those beautiful eyes, thinking you are sharing a deep emotional moment, your cat is actually sitting there wondering why you are choosing to be so aggressive. A study published in the scientific journal Animal Cognition discovered that cats actively avoid eye contact with humans who stare at them directly, but they are much more likely to move closer to people who blink slowly and then look away. That is not a coincidence of behavior. That is your cat teaching you their rules. The correct move is quite simple. Look at your cat with a soft expression, offer a very slow blink, and then shift your gaze. That is the authentic way to communicate "I love you" in their world. And if you have been staring without knowing this, do not worry. But pay very close attention to the final section of this video, because exactly where your cat chooses to sleep at night reveals the truth about whether they have forgiven you for breaking rules like this one. The answer might actually surprise you. 2. Petting your cat for a longer duration than they like. Why does your cat go from purring happily on your lap to suddenly nipping at your hand out of nowhere? You felt like you didn't do anything wrong. At least that's how it seemed to you. But here is the hard truth. You did do something wrong. You simply did not know the right moment to stop. Cats possess a very specific neurological threshold for physical touch. Once you cross that invisible line, what started as a pleasurable sensation turns into painful overstimulation. And when that internal switch flips, your cat isn't trying to be mean or temperamental. They are simply informing you that you just broke the rule. Researchers refer to this behavior as petting-induced aggression. It occurs because the constant, repeated stimulation on their sensitive skin begins to irritate their delicate nerve receptors. Think of it like someone rubbing the exact same spot on your arm over and over again. At first, it feels quite nice, then it becomes uncomfortable, and eventually it becomes unbearable. The warning signs are always present long before the actual bite happens. Their tail begins to twitch with irritation. Their ears flatten slightly against their head. Their skin ripples visibly along the back. Most owners miss every single one of those crucial signals because they are too distracted by how cute the interaction feels. The rule here is simple. Pet your cat in very short sessions. When you observe any of those physical signals, stop immediately. Let your cat be the one to decide when they want more interaction. That is not a sign of rejection. That is your cat instructing you on exactly how they want to be loved. And hey, before we continue, if this is already shifting the way you perceive your cat, hit like and subscribe so we can reach more owners who want to master the rules their cat will never actually meow about. 3. Moving their most favourite spot. You know that one specific spot where your cat always sleeps? What happens when you decide to move their blanket, rearrange the living room couch, or throw away that old cardboard box they loved so much? Most owners don't think twice about these actions. You are simply cleaning up your home, but to your cat, you just destroyed a vital piece of territory that belonged specifically to them. Cats do not view your house the same way you do. They map their entire universe through scent markers and territorial boundaries. Every spot they claim as their own gets marked with pheromones from their face and their paws. That is their personal way of saying, "This is mine. This is a safe zone. I belong here." So, when you move their favourite blanket to a different room or shift the furniture around, your cat doesn't just feel slightly annoyed, they feel completely displaced. That vital sense of security they built around that spot is suddenly gone, and they have no understanding of why. A study from the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that environmental disruption is one of the primary triggers of chronic stress in indoor cats. Something as minor as moving a bed to the other side of a room can trigger anxiety, a loss of appetite, and even lead to litter box avoidance. The rule here is to respect what they have already claimed. If your cat has selected a spot, that choice is not random. It is a calculated decision, and if you absolutely must move something, do it very gradually. Shift it a tiny bit at a time so your cat can adjust their internal map, without feeling like their safe space just vanished overnight. 4. Talking to them while they are eating. Do you ever find yourself talking to your cat while they are eating their dinner? Maybe you stand nearby and say something sweet while they are munching away. It feels like a harmless, loving gesture, right? But your cat does not see it that way. Not even close. In the wild, mealtime is one of the most physically vulnerable moments for any feline. Their head is down, their senses are entirely focused on the food, and their guard is lower than at any other point in the day. That survival instinct doesn't just disappear because they live safely indoors now. So, when you hover over their bowl, talk to them, or reach down to pet them in the middle of a meal, your cat's survival brain immediately kicks in. They cannot fully relax into the act of eating, because part of their mind is now forced to track your movements. Even if they don't physically run away, the stress is still happening internally. You just cannot see it. What you can see, however, is the aftermath. Cats who feel pressured or watched during their meals start eating much too fast, and that often leads to vomiting, food-guarding behaviours, or even avoiding the bowl altogether. And in households with multiple cats, the same thing can occur even without you standing there. When food bowls are positioned too close to one another, the mere presence of another cat creates that exact same survival pressure. So even if you walk away, they still do not feel safe eating at their own natural pace. The rule is simple. When your cat is busy eating, give them total space. No talking, no touching, and no standing over them. And if you have more than one cat, give each one their own private spot to eat. Those few minutes at the bowl belong to them and only them. 5. Ignoring them the moment you walk in. When you return home after a long, exhausting day, what is the very first thing you do? Toss your keys, check your phone notifications, or kick off your shoes? But have you ever noticed that your cat was right there at the door waiting for you? Most owners walk right past them without giving it a second thought. And to you, it feels like nothing. You're tired, you're distracted. You tell yourself you'll pet them later. But to your cat, that specific moment meant everything. Cats do not greet others casually. When your cat shows up at the door or watches you walk in from across the room, that is a very deliberate social choice. They are acknowledging your return, and they fully expect you to acknowledge them back. This behaviour isn't about being needy. It is a social ritual that cats take extremely seriously. Researchers who study feline behaviour have discovered that cats form greeting patterns with their owners just like they do with other cats they trust and respect. A slow approach, a tail held high, or maybe a soft chirp. That is their version of saying, "I noticed you and I am genuinely glad you are home." When you ignore that vital moment, your cat doesn't throw a visible fit. They just quietly file it away in their mind. And over time, those missed greetings start to add up. Your cat might start meeting you at the door less frequently. They stop chirping when you walk in. Not because they stopped caring about you, but because they learn that you simply do not follow that rule. The fix takes only 3 seconds. When you walk in, give your cat a slow blink. Say something soft to them, and that is it. That is all they ever really wanted from you. 6. Where your cat chooses to sleep at night. Have you ever wondered why your cat selects the specific sleeping spots they do? Maybe it is right on your chest, at the foot of your bed, or in a completely different room altogether. You probably never gave it much thought, but that choice is actually the most honest thing your cat will ever tell you. Remember earlier when we discussed staring into your cat's eyes and how they perceive that as a threat? This is where that trust all comes together, because where your cat sleeps is the final verdict on how safe they truly feel around you. A cat who chooses to sleep directly on your chest or curled up near your face is telling you something incredibly powerful. They are placing themselves in their most vulnerable position, in their deepest state of unconsciousness, right next to the one person they trust more than anyone else. That isn't just about physical comfort. That is a sign of complete surrender. A cat who sleeps at the foot of the bed still trusts you deeply, but they are maintaining a little bit of distance. They want to be close to you, but they also want to ensure they have an easy exit if they need it. That is not a rejection of your bond. That is just a cat who is still observing your nighttime patterns and making sure it is safe to fully let their guard down. And a cat who sleeps in another room entirely. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't love you, but it might indicate that something in your daily routine is making them feel slightly unsure or stressed. Maybe it is one of the rules we discussed today that you didn't even realize you were breaking. The beautiful thing about this is that none of this is permanent. Every single day provides a brand new chance to follow the rules your cat has been quietly waiting for you to finally understand. And now you know exactly what they are.